On this video, I would like to do a review and a revision of the book of Genesis in Hebrew, beginning with chapter 1, verse 1. We'll be looking at the text in Hebrew, followed by vocabulary, then grammar, and along with translation and a brief interpretation or application. So reading the text, and this will be something that those that are beginning Hebrew might want to follow along in your Hebrew Bible. So we read, Bereshit bara Elohim, et ha-shamayim, ve'et ha'aretz. Following the reading of the text, we have vocabulary. Be is a preposition meaning in. Reshit is a noun, beginning. Bara is a verb, to create. Elohim is a noun, God. Eight is the sign of the direct object that is not translated. Ha is the definite article, the. Shamayim is the dual plural, meaning heavens. Im is the regular masculine plural. Ayim is the dual plural. Ve is the conjunction and eretz is the noun meaning earth. So we begin reading the text, and as we read it, we'll be looking at the grammar phrase by phrase. So grammar will be next, following vocabulary. First of all, Bereshit. Bereshit means in the beginning or at the first. Be is a preposition with the shava under it, followed by the noun reshit. Notice the be has a dot in it. This is what is called a dogish lene. You will find that dogish lene in what is called the Begat Kafat letters. The Beit, the Gimel, the Daled, the Kaf, the Pei, and the Tav, when they begin a new syllable or at the beginning of a word. Notice there is the Shava under the Beit because we are hurrying to get to the last syllable. The sheet is the last syllable. So Bareshit becomes Bereshit because we're hurrying to get to the last syllable. Hence, we shorten the commas to a shava. Bara is a verb with a simple stem, which is called a kal, Q-A-L, which means simple stem. It is a kal perfect, third masculine singular from the root bara. We have perfect and imperfect in Hebrew. Perfect is past, imperfect is present or future. Notice there is a final aleph in the root. This is called a lamed aleph verb because the aleph is in the final last position. In Hebrew, often grammarians speak of the verbal system determined by the verb pa'al, pei, ayin, lamed. Verbs that begin with a word under the pei are called pei-type verbs, like pei noon, if the noon is the first consonant. Verbs that end with aleph are called lamed aleph verbs because in the lamed position or the final position there appears an aleph. Most verbs in the perfect have a commas followed by a pathak. The commas is the long a vowel, the pathak is the short. Here we have a commas followed by a commas in bara. The reason for that is that the aleph, since it is quiescent, prefers a full vowel, a full commas, instead of the shorter vowel pathak. The next is the word Elohim. Notice that Elohim is a noun. It is plural, a masculine plural, with the im ending. Im shows masculine plural. And this is a plural of majesty, showing the fullness of God, allowing for, I believe, as a Christian minister, interpreter, allowing for the later revelation in the New Testament, or the progressive revelation of the Trinity for the Godhead. That is, three distinct persons making up the Godhead, and yet one God. And so the verb is singular, Elohim, bara. 8 is the sign of the direct object followed by the noun. It is non-translatable, it's just a pointer to the direct object. Hashamayim, the next word, notice we have the hey preceding the word. The hey is an article, and it has a pathak, followed by a dogish forte, the dot and the sheen. Historically, the article normally had a hey followed by a lamed, hal shamayim, but it becomes hashamayim, where the lamed assimilates into the sheen by progressive assimilation, causing a doubling, and hence the pathak, the short vowel in a closed syllable under the hey. Notice ayim, by the way, is a dual ending. So it shows duality in Hebrew. Einayim, two eyes. Yadayim, two hands. Oznayim, two ears, and so forth. The 8, ve, is the conjunction and 8 is just the sign of the direct object again. You do not translate it, it just shows the direct object. And then finally, we have the last word, ha'adas. Ha'adas, notice the hey, again, is the definite article, and it has a long commas. The reason for this is that the aleph cannot take a dogish forte like the sheen that we saw above, like hashamayim. Therefore, the lamed just historically dropped out, causing what grammarians called compensatory lengthening under the hey, moving it from a pathak to a commas. Notice also ha'adas. Since this is the final word, the accent that normally occurs at the end of a word goes to the next to the last syllable, called the penult syllable, and hence the vowel is lengthened from a sagol to a commas, adas, because it is in pause in the next to the last position of the word. So if we translate the verse, it would be translated, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. In terms of application or interpretation, notice there was no birthing of other gods here. God is alone and simply creates the world. Strong statement of monotheism, that is, one God. We as Christians only worship one God. We don't worship three. We believe that one God subsists in three distinct persons, seen through New Testament understanding. But as we go on, this statement of monotheism is in sharp contrast to the Babylonian account of polytheism, many gods, and Enuma Elish, the Babylonian account of creation, where Apsu, which is the male, and Tiamat, the female, waters that mingle together to form a theogony, a birthing of the gods. We don't find this here. There's no birthing of the gods. God just is. There's no proof for his existence. It's by faith. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. So this is a beautiful verse. And for those that might be beginning Hebrew, I hope that slowing down and looking at one verse at a time, like we're doing, and looking at the vocabulary, the text, the vocabulary, the grammar, the translation, and interpretation and application might be of help for those beginning their study of Hebrew.